So hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. Some of you know me. I do see some familiar names and faces here, but I'm Stephanie Mueller. I work in the SIU Career Development Center as a career development specialist. I have been in this role for over 2 years now, and I've actually been working at the university for almost 5 years. And I did graduate from SIU in May 2017, which is when I started working here. So mainly my main role in the Career Development Center is to work one-on-one with our students and alumni actually to develop career and professional development. And I advise and consult students in regards to resume and cover letter critiques, job and internship searching, major career consultations. We have an extensive interview preparation program that we do, and that's a little bit about what I'm going to talk about today. And we even have an awesome opportunity for our students called the Professional Clothing Closet. So if you are a faculty or instructor, or anybody who works on campus and you get to see students, please tell them about our Professional Clothing Closet. Students can come and select free professional clothing, theirs to keep for free. We have everything from suits, ties, dresses, shoes, accessories for interviews. So please tell your students about it. It's a great resource. And today I'm going to be introducing our new virtual interview platform, Big Interview. Now, some of you have worked with our office in the past, and some of you may have not worked with the Career Development Center before. But if you have, you probably have heard of Interview Stream and have worked with Interview Stream with us before. Interview Stream is the current virtual interview software and platform that we've been using for almost 10 years now. And of course, 10 years is quite a long time, and many things have changed in a decade. And career development, just like everything else in the world, is a fast-paced, ever-changing environment where the needs of career development change based on the job market, employment, employer expectations and requirements for candidates, etc. So we really felt it best in order to meet these needs and to better prepare our students for real interviews and for their real career development, we wanted to change to a more modern, updated, and new software, which is going to now provide students additional resources, tools, and techniques to better help them land those dream jobs and dream careers that they have in mind. So that's a little bit about why we're switching to Big Interview, and I'm just going to go through it today. And I'm going to start with the student dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, can everyone see the Big Interview dashboard in front of me? Perfect, thank you. Okay, so as I mentioned before, this platform is mainly for student use and for students to practice their interviewing skills and development. However, since we've worked with faculty in the past with Interview Stream, we are planning to continue that with Big Interview. So a part of this presentation is really going to be discussing about how faculty and staff can utilize Big Interview as a course assignment and as a tool to use in your courses and for your students. So logging into Big Interview, this is actually what a student is going to see. So this is just the dashboard here where they can go to many different features. I'm actually going to start with the Learn tab here. Now, as you can see under this Learn tab, there are many different things students can participate in to gain more interview practice and development. So there's 2 different tracks students can participate in, including the Fast Track and Mastery Track. The Fast Track is mainly just video lessons describing how you can ace interviews, a little bit about what you need to know before, during, and after, and also some brief interview practicing. The Mastery Track is for students who feel a little bit more comfortable with interviewing and would like some more difficult questions or would like some more specific information on how to better interview. There's also curriculum guides as part of Big Interview, and this is actually a major change between Interview Stream and Big Interview, are these curriculum guides. They are video lessons, however, there's a written curriculum module for students who prefer written learning over video and audio learning. And students can learn from things like the interview playbook, job search curriculum, so students can better understand how to conduct a job search and how to really promote and sell themselves. There's also a resume curriculum that students can gain information and knowledge on how to create and develop a resume. However, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we actually do offer extensive resume critique services in our own department here at this Career Development Center. So we still recommend students to meet with either myself or Eric Seacrest, who's the other career development specialist, in regards to developing and creating a resume. There's also this really important curriculum guide here, the negotiation curriculum. You know, working with students, they often express to me that negotiation is one of their weaker areas and one of the areas that they feel the least comfortable with. So really talk to your students about this negotiation curriculum, indicate that that's available to them, because it's a really great curriculum and lesson to really understand how to better negotiate salary, benefits, and other things, including that when being hired for a full-time position. Another curriculum guide I think is really unique is this first 90 days curriculum. This is specifically for first 90 days on the job, so a full-time career position, mainly focusing on the transition from college to career, which, as we've all known, is actually kind of a big jump and can be a little bit disorienting, especially in this day and age. So that's an awesome guide, I think, really preparing students for that transition and what they can expect from that transition. There's also extensive support and assistant videos on Big Interview, which you can see under each tab here. So there's how to get started videos, system requirements, mock interview section, which is what we're going to talk about next, and etc. So if students or faculty, whenever you're using Big Interview, if you ever run into any problems or you feel you want to get to know something a little bit better, there are a lot of helpful videos and resources and materials on Big Interview to take advantage of. And speaking of that, since I'm on that, there's this little blue circle with this message box in it. If you click on that, that's actually a customer support and help widget. This is, again, something vastly different from Interview Stream. The customer service was pretty much not there with Interview Stream, and that's something we're really excited about with Big Interview. And if you have any questions about Big Interview, or if students have trouble, like technical problems, or maybe they can't find something on Big Interview itself, they can simply message Big Interview here on this messenger widget and get somebody to reply and help. And this also can be used by faculty and staff. So if you have any questions as well, specifically for Big Interview, you can compose a message there. So under the practice tab here to the right of Learn, this is really where students can participate in mock interviews and practice interviews. And there's 4 categories that students can select from. So of course, the first being practice interviews here. A major difference between Interview Stream and Big Interview here is these specific interview sets that are already created and the specific industry interviews already available and uploaded here. So you can see on the top left, students can practice in general interviews just to get a hang of the basic and general interview questions that they might be asked. However, students can also participate in industry-related interviews as well. So if they're going into a specific field like accounting, engineering, something that might focus a little bit more heavily on technical skill sets, they can practice that there. And they can also actually practice skill set interviews in this section too. And there's even more specific options such as graduate admission interviews. So if students are preparing to enter or apply for graduate programs in schools, they can practice these interviews on Big Interview as well. And anything from government to state jobs and interviews for veterans, it really gets very specific. So if we were just to click on this, actually, you can see how this is broken down. So each category has what's called a standard, challenging, and tough track. So this is really an awesome feature, I think, because students who are maybe not as comfortable with interviewing can start with the standard or basic interview skill set and then work their way up to the tougher challenges and to the tougher questions. And there's no better place to practice interviewing than with Big Interview and with us in the Career Development Center. So I really, really encourage students to take advantage of these tough, challenging interview questions because they want to do it here with Big Interview before they go out into the real world. So you could see there's everything from entry level, mid-level, senior, internship questions, career change, uncomfortable questions, and they all have that ranking here of standard, challenging, and tough. And for industry, as I mentioned, they pretty much have almost every industry that a student would be interested in or would be considering to go into. So that's pretty unique, especially for faculty who might be in a specific area and want to focus on a specific area of study. That's definitely already uploaded there, and etc. So going back to the practice tab here, the other ones including here like Answer Builder, this is more of an interview preparation, I would say. This is just to help students kind of prepare their answers and to figure out how to articulate themselves well and what to include in their interview responses and answers. So that's really, I would say, important for students who don't have a lot of interviewing experience or have a struggle with articulating themselves and just don't really know what to include in their responses. And the question library is just simply searching all of the other kind of interview questions that could be asked throughout these interviews and looking for specific ones as well. And the interview roulette is just being asked random interview questions, so students can really practice their interviewing skills and just go into it blind and see how they do with random questions. So a lot of cool opportunity here. It's really, really, I think, an awesome opportunity for students to gain some real good confidence and interview skills. So once a student has completed their practice interviews or their interview question set, they can actually access it under My Videos here. And they can then watch the video again, and they can actually go ahead and see immediate feedback with the AI feature, which is specific to Big Interview. And this is a major difference between Interview Stream and Big Interview, is this AI review feedback. We're really, really excited about this in the Career Development Center because this, as I mentioned, is going to provide immediate feedback and reviews of a student's performance in an interview. And you can see the AI feature rates everything from pace of speech, counters, filler words, vocabulary usage within the interview, eye contact, length of answers, volume, lighting. It really actually rates quite a few different factors within the interview response. And I actually tested it myself, so that's what that video is. And I find, after extensive testing this and watching promotional videos and utilizing it already, I've really come to realize that this is very accurate. The AI feature is very accurate, and it's a good replacement for our own critiques and reviews, because in the Career Development Center, it's just myself and Eric Seacrest, and we do work with a lot of faculty and students. So we are hoping that this can be supplemental advice and feedback for our students in place of our own critiques, because it really does a good job of counting filler words and looking at eye contact, pace of speech, and those types of things. So that's why we're really excited about it. We think it's going to provide students with immediate feedback, and that they can actually go ahead and practice the question or interview again based on the action plan here on the top right. So AI feedback and then action plan. And this is where students can read a little bit about each section here. So pace of speech, counter, vocabulary, so they can see where their areas of weaknesses are versus their areas of strengths. So if they really had troubles with filler words, which is quite common, they can read a little bit about why that might be an issue, what they can do to improve upon it, and get a lot of information directly on this action plan. And then, this is an awesome feature here, is that they, after reading about their action plan, they can actually re-record their answer and try to get an improved score. So these scores over here, you can see silver, which is good. The ranking is actually bronze, silver, and gold. So if a student answers a question and it's bronze level, they can read their action plan and re-record their answer until they obtain the gold medal or the gold standard. So I think that's really, really awesome for our students. And it's very, very specific, and it has a lot of good information for them there. So we're really excited about that AI feature. And there's actually a great little video that I was hoping we could watch about the AI review feedback to learn a little bit more about it here. Okay. Can everyone hear it? Perfect.
Welcome back to Big Interview. The AI feedback feature is a great way to improve your interviewing skills and pinpoint strengths and weaknesses. When you save a video, our AI will automatically process your video and offer you immediate feedback and suggestions for improvement. To try out our AI feedback, go to a practice interview. You may need to complete a couple quick steps to calibrate your eye contact. When you finish the eye calibration process, you are ready to record your videos. Continue with your practice interview normally. Make sure your answers are at least 30 seconds long. AI will not be able to run on videos that are too short. When you finish recording and saving your videos, you'll be able to access your AI feedback in the My Videos tab. It may take a few minutes for your AI score to process. When it's ready, you'll see a bronze, silver, or gold medal, depending on how well you scored. Click on the medal to see your feedback. Here, you will see how well you scored on several different criteria. Now, let's click on My Action Plan. Here, we see a customized action plan that summarizes all of your scores and provides guidance on where and how you can improve. While no AI score can fully replace human feedback anytime soon, this robust tool can help you eliminate many unconscious vocal fillers, improve your nonverbal communication, and help give your interview answers some extra polish. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our support team.
So pretty much just kind of covered what I had just discussed, but something about this is something I want to indicate here. I was able to access this video simply by clicking this little question mark here. And as I mentioned before, Big Interview has extensive support and customer service plans on the actual platform itself, including a lot of educational and informational videos. And these can all be accessed under here under the Learn Center. So again, if you would like additional information or watch specific videos pertaining to any of the materials and resources available on Big Interview, I definitely would recommend checking out that Learn Center. It's very extensive and it's very actually informative and very useful. One other tab here for the students is this resume curriculum. Again, I kind of mentioned we do still emphasize students to meet with us in the Career Development Center for resume development and building. However, what I find kind of interesting about this tool is that students can actually describe what they're going into, what their area of study is, or how they would like to create and develop their resume. So if we click on like accountant and we're looking for a classic, creative, elegant, modern, or all styles resume, Big Interview will then provide examples of how they can then create and design and organize the resume based on these preferences selected here. So that's kind of an interesting tool. And again, it's always helpful to have some sort of example or sample resume to look at when developing your own or when students are using it for theirs. So, okay. So that's pretty much sums up for the student dashboard, because I'm going to talk about assignments more from the admin side of things. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to my admin account. Now, this is really where it gets specific for faculty and staff, because if you are interested in utilizing Big Interview for your class assignments or for utilizing it in your own courses, we can actually give you organizational admin access. And you can then actually have access to this entire dashboard and page that I'm showing you here. And of course, it's going to be specific to you and your account. So as a faculty or staff member, you can actually keep track of all of the data and analytics here. So you could see what's been completed, who has completed it, the average scores, and just see who needs to complete it, or who has already submitted it as completed. So you can have track of all the information there. You can actually create custom sets of interview questions that you would like your students to ask. However, what I would recommend more is this assignment tab here. So this is really specific to faculty and staff, because this is what I would recommend you to utilize if you're interested in having an interview, like an interview through Big Interview as part of your graded assignments, and that you actually want to have this as a grade and something you want to look at and critique and review yourself, or just to make sure they've done this. So when creating an assignment, why we recommend this is because that way you can look at all of the videos at one time, because if a student is not doing it as an assignment, they might actually appear as individualized questions and interviews. So you'll have to go through each individual question and respond to them. And it's just going to be pretty time intensive. So assignments is going to pretty much really streamline that process and put it all into one spot. So I'm just going to quickly walk through how you as a faculty or staff member can create assignment for your students. So you just click on, create a new assignment, and then you can name it based on whatever you would like. So if you have a area specific major, you can title it that. I'm just today just going to title it test 2. You can add a description. So this is where you can add directions that are visible to your users. So you could say, please complete interview, add your information there. You can set a due date, which I think is actually an awesome tool because, sometimes students will wait till the last minute if they don't have a due date assigned, or, they might just wait and not complete the assignment. So I always think it's a good idea to have a due date assigned to it. So I'm just going to do December 10th. And you can also set a time limit or question limit. So I'm going to set the time limit for each interview response. So of course, this would be the amount of times students have to respond to the question. So at 2 minutes. And I'm also going to set the number of attempts a student can complete as 2. We do recommend to have 2 or 3 attempts per interview question, because this is meant to be a practice for them. And if you just set it as 1, then they only have 1 attempt to answer the question, and then they might mess up and feel like they have to redo the whole assignment. So I would set at least 2 or 3. And then over here on the right, I would definitely mark AI review. Again, we really are strongly encouraging our faculty and staff to use this AI review feedback and feature, because it's very accurate and it will provide your students with immediate feedback and response on how they did in their interview. And then you can mark it as a private assignment so that only you will be able to see it and review it. That's fine. However, it might be problematic if you would like us to also kind of view the interview and the assignments for your students. Like I said, though, the AI feature should kind of replace our need to go in and critique and feedback those interviews specifically. And you might also want to select notify me when a user submits an assignment. So again, if you're trying to keep track of who has completed the interview and the assignment for your course, you probably will want to be notified of when they complete that assignment there. And we're just going to save and continue. And then we can go to the question list here. So you can actually start with a template, or what I think would probably be most or best would to build your own interview here. So if you click build your own, you can actually select questions that are already pre-uploaded. Like, you don't have to make them yourself. You can select from general, and you can see kind of under here, so entry level. You can include things like that. You can do industry specific, competency, pretty much all of the ones we've already looked at. You can select and mix and match questions, and you can actually put as many questions on your interview as you'd like, or as few questions. So you could have like a 3-question interview, or you could have like a 15 to 20 question interview. It's really up to you. Now, say I add some questions here. So I'm just going to add these 3. These are actually the questions that students are going to be seeing throughout the interview. So when they start the interview assignment that you've created, they will see these throughout the interview. Like, it'll be on the left-hand side of the interview screen. So they actually will be able to see the interview questions as they're going through. If this is something you do not want, like if you want students not to be able to see the questions as they're going through the interview, what I would recommend to do is to create custom questions. Because this is where you can label it such as like question 1, introduction, question 2, so that the students will not be able to see it. So let me just go ahead and add that and remove these. And then I'll show you the example that I've created here. Hi, thank you so much for coming to the interview. Why don't we begin by having you tell us a little bit about yourself? So you can see the question is, tell me about yourself. However, that is something the student couldn't see coming, because I've gone ahead and just recorded it and created a custom question and labeled it as question 1. So that's one way to get around them seeing the question itself. However, if that's something you don't mind them seeing, like if you are okay with them seeing the questions throughout the interview, then that kind of eliminates the need to do this. And it's pretty easy to add those custom questions. You would just do it there, and then you would just record it. And then you can then title it whatever you want. Unfortunately, I probably can't do it now because I'm already using the webcam, but pretty straightforward. And of course, we're happy to help you in the Career Development Center. So let me just add some questions again really quick and then move on. So we've got our questions, so we're going to save and continue. And now it'll ask you for the criteria to your assignment. So what the criteria is, it's just what you're grading on specifically. So if we look at the preview default set, answers the questions well, appropriate attire, appropriate body language, communicates enthusiasm, etc. So you can kind of set what you would like to rate for the student yourself and what's going to be important to your interview versus what's least important. So you can use that, or again, you can add a custom criteria and you can select which ones you would like to grade on and the weight of their of that criteria specifically. Okay, so once you have completed your question list, criteria, and you've got it all set up and ready to go, you can then invite your students to participate and to complete this assignment here under invite members. Now, if you only have 2 to 3 students in your class, you can just simply type in their name and email here. However, if you have a class of 20 or more individuals, or even 10 to 20, that's probably going to be a little bit of time consuming. So you actually can import users from CSV. And there's a little bit of information about what that is here. So that's probably what I'd recommend, just to save a little bit of time. But if you have 2 to 3, then it shouldn't be a problem. And once you invite them, they will get an email in the email that you've designated, asking them to complete their assignment there. And of course, you can include any instructions or details you choose. So you could say, please complete this interview by December 10th. If you have any questions, please let me know, or contact the Career Development Center. So we're going to skip that, and then you're going to then get to this page of reviewing the assignment here. And you do really want to make sure everything looks good here before saving and publishing. So you really want to proofread, want to make sure all of the details and settings are correct, because once you save and publish, and once you do send it out to the invited users, and your users or students start completing the assignment, you will be unable to change the questions or the details of the interview, because at that point, it's not going to be fair to those who have already completed the interview. So really, really make sure everything looks good to go before sending it out. So then we're just going to save and publish. And like I said, you can actually send it out directly through the users, or you can actually copy the code here and send it directly to your students that way as well. So most assignments will need some sort of access or copy code, or some specific invitation. It's not something any student can just typically access. And that's a good thing, because you don't want other students outside of your class accessing your specific interview set. And then you can go to the assignment, and then you can keep track of who's completed it, who has started it, etc. And then again, before people start using it, you can edit the details and criteria and things of that nature. There is also a helpful little video. So if you would like more information about it, how to use assignments is a very helpful video. It is a little longer, it's about 6 minutes, so I'm going to skip that for now. I just wanted to indicate that if you are interested in utilizing this as an assignment. And at that point, I think I have really kind of covered everything that I wanted to at this point. I did want to leave some time open for some question and answer period. So I'll just go ahead and open the floor up to any questions about the software.
Stephanie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Is there a way to load to just load what's already been prepared for us by interview stream by your office? So your office already did all this recording of all the questions that we use in interview stream. Isn't there a way to just populate those into this for us?
At this point, I don't believe there is a way to do that, because they are 2 different systems. And we have asked Big Interview about that. And at this point, I don't think it would be something we'd be able to do. However, we could just go back again and kind of recreate them, because part of our problem with interview stream is that we had so many questions and custom sets created throughout the 10 years that we've been using it, that it became extremely cluttered. So we are of course always happy to redo and record those questions again, and we can do that in our office. But yeah, that's a great question.
Stephanie, this is Josh Houston.
Hi, Josh.
Hi. You mentioned that to access and fully utilize the assignments section, that we needed to maybe ask you for that designation as administrator or what have you. I'm not sure. I used this semester, and by the way, all the feedback was great. Our students loved it. It's, I think, a big improvement. But I don't know if I have that. I didn't use the assignments function, and I love the way you explained it. How do I go about making sure that I have been added?
Yeah, so I think at this point, I do not have you as an organizational admin, so I can just make sure to add you after this presentation as an organizational admin, and then you should be able, so that actually brings up a good point. Once you've been added as an organizational admin, you can then sign into Big Interview. So you would just go to siu.biginterview.com. And you can then do the admin login, and it should be your SIU network ID and password. You could technically create a new password for the Big Interview. However, then you should see this page right here. Like, you should have the admin dashboard in front of you. So I'll be sure to add you on there. And if anyone else is interested in being added as an organizational admin to Big Interview, please go ahead and just email me, and I'll put in the chat what my email and contact is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So just to clarify, in order to do this, we have to find time to make our own questions to set this whole thing up in advance of the semester.
So a lot of the questions are already kind of on here. So if we go back, because I know you teach paralegal, and there's actually an extensive paralegal question set on here. There's legal profession, and I actually specifically think there's paralegal itself.
So how do we get those questions into our interview?
So if you go to assignment, and I'll just edit this one here, edit questions. So once you're in this question list here, this is when you can do it by industry. And that's where you're going to find like the legal and paralegal. Let me just scroll down here. I'm kind of moving fast. So you can actually select from any of these lists here, any of these professions. Just trying to find it here. Maybe I can search it. Search professions, do paralegal. Okay, so what qualities do you think are most important for a successful paralegal? What are your strengths as paralegal? So if you're interested in using those, you can add those. If you just want legal questions, there are some other ones you can put on there as well. However, if you would still like to use some specific questions that are not on there, I would be happy to go ahead and just record and create those custom questions for you. And then you should be able to see them under this custom questions. And I could even create a custom set specifically for paralegal as well. So that's where the custom set can kind of come in handy, is that I can specify that it's paralegal questions and create the whole custom list again. However, you can definitely use the ones that are already uploaded here under the question list. Does that help answer that question?
Yeah, it does. Wait, one more question, sorry. Is it possible to still access interview streams so that I can redo the questions that are already there that we spent time on before?
Yeah, so we definitely still have interview stream currently. It will expire next semester. I believe at the end of the semester. I think it was, we had it for another academic year. I'll make sure on that, but you should still have access to it until at least the end of the spring semester.
Yeah, because those were kind of weak questions, but the ones that we did with you were better. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Great questions. Thank you.
So this is Alex Grabowska over in the Student Health Center. And you answered one of the questions that I had thrown into the chat. So it sounds like for faculty staff that if we want specific access that we'd have to request it. So I had, and please correct me if I'm off on that. I had two other questions. So one, and you may not know the answer to this, but I'm wondering, does Big Interview collect or share data from what folks upload? I imagine that might be a question that I get. And then my other question is, are there limits on which SIU students can access this program? So specifically, do School of Medicine students and or law students have access to the program?
Yeah. Yep. So to answer your first question about data, so the data is pretty specific to the admin. And of course, us in the Career Development Center can see all of the data. But you as an admin, if you would like that access, you can have access to the data and you can then share it depending on who you would like to share it with. And it's pretty straightforward once you do have some data in here. So right now, because these are all test examples, we actually don't have like the student's completion rate or anything like that. But once you do collect this data, like completed interviews, or once you create these assignments, you actually can then share it through like Excel, CSVs, and there's some other methods as well. I actually think it's right here. Yeah, so assignments. So you could actually then share all of your assignments through the CSV. And the way I did that was here on this little like paper with the arrow. So that's one way of sharing data. Does that kind of answer your question that you were asking?
My question was more specific to the company. So Big Interview as a company, does it collect or share any of the data? Kind of like if you think about it through Facebook, we'll collect and share data based on what people upload. I'm wondering if Big Interview does that. And you may not know the answer to that question, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, at this point, I really am not totally sure what the answer would be for that. I want to say off the top of my head that they don't share like specific university statistics or data, especially without like permission. But that's something I'm really not entirely sure of, so I apologize at that time. However, for your second question, I do have an answer for that. So all SIU students should be able to utilize Big Interview. We actually have set up a single sign-on option. So any students with an SIU network ID can actually log in. And we've actually also used this to assist with like prospective students. So there's a couple different departments on campus who wanted to use this for incoming prospective students who have been admitted, and they just wanted to conduct some interviews with them. So we actually can also do admitted students who are not yet attending SIU as well. And anybody, like I said, with an SIU email or ID should be able to utilize this no matter what major or academic program they're in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Stephanie, this is John Cooper from the School of Applied Engineering and Technology. So where do students go on the SIU website to find this?
That's a great question. So at this point, since this semester, we've really just been trying to become accustomed to it and transfer some things over from Interview Stream to Big Interview. And we've just been slowly kind of releasing it to our specific faculty and staff. So it's actually not public to students. That now students can actually use it right now. We just haven't promoted it and launched it yet to students. So we are planning to do a full launch in the starting of spring semester, so spring 2022. And once we do launch it here, and I'll go to our website, we will have the information on our webpage, which is just careerdevelopment.siu.edu. So you can see we actually have the Big Interview information here, and we also have this follow us on social media. So it'll actually be on this right tab here. We'll have a big icon and logo that says Big Interview, just like we do for Handshake. And then students will be able to click on the Big Interview logo and log in that way. It's just because we haven't actually officially launched it to students. We wanted to take this time to introduce it to our faculty and staff first before telling students about it. However, some students have been accessing it, just a handful though. So it should be on our website. And like I said, siu.biginterview.com is actually the direct link to our Big Interview as well.
Okay, I was going to say I teach, but I also recruit. And one question I get from students is, will you help me find a job when I graduate? And so we always talk about the Career Center. I think it's wonderful. You have a tremendous amount of resources. Honestly, I've never heard of Interview Stream before. I know that you help with interview prep and resume writing, stuff like that, but I didn't know you actually had a mechanism in place to do that. So this is exciting news to me.
That's great. I'm so glad to hear that. And we're really excited about it as well. I think this is going to be a great improvement to our existing resource for our students. Like I mentioned, it's a lot more modernized, a lot more interviews and content available on here. So yeah, please, if you have any students that are looking for jobs or need assistance with career and job searching, definitely send them our way to the Career Development Center, and we'd be happy to conduct a job and career search for them. And a lot of our resources are available on our website as well. So you can always direct them to our website, careerdevelopment.siu.edu.
So could you add me as like one of the admins? I'm not sure if I'll use it, but I do want to learn about it. And I do share resume writing tips with my students. We started an industrial management and applied engineering IMA community. And we talk about, I send out how to ask for a raise, how to write a resume to get by the ATS, and all kinds of things like this. So you're taking it kind of exponentially farther than I have, and I'd love to share this with my students.
Yeah, for sure. Please share away. And we have advice for all of those things you had just mentioned. And I know how to get past those softwares, or I have some good advice on how to get past those automatic screening softwares for students. So definitely have them come see us. And I will definitely add you as an organizational admin as well. And you should then receive an email that you have been added to a big interview, and then you can start to explore and utilize all the resources. So thank you for letting me know.
All right, thank you.
And I am quickly just attaching some documents now that everybody has joined. Looks like, okay, it should be, there's a big interview informational handout and the AI brochure. So if everyone would like to save and download that, that's a great little introduction and handout regarding both just big interview in general and also that AI brochure specifically. It talks a little bit more about it. I'm also trying to attach a little cheat sheet. Can people see that big interview cheat sheet for faculty and staff? Okay, it looked like it might have had an error on my end. So I've just developed a little checklist for faculty and staff who are interested in becoming an organizational admin and using big interview. And that little cheat sheet will help you to, to join and just walk you through the steps of how to create an assignment and how to better utilize big interview as well. So definitely feel free to download and save those.
What are you, I'm not seeing what you're talking about.
It's in the chat feature.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I should indicate that. Yeah, it's in the chat that I've sent those documents through there.
I don't see it in chat.
Okay, don't see it in chat.
Now, I do see it, and I just clicked on the arrow and downloaded each one of those. So I just want to let you know, at least it's coming through to somebody.
Yep, I also have it in my chat.
Okay, I'll try to send it one more time, just in case. Okay, I've sent all three again in the chat feature, so hopefully everyone has that. If not, again, my email, I'll send that again in the chat. If you didn't have access to it and have questions or would like to be added as an organizational admin, please just go ahead and email me there. Eric Seacrest is also our career development specialist, and Jamie Cumley Holt is our director. And all three of us have access to big interviews, so you can reach out to any of us for access or for questions too, just in case I'm not in the office on the day of, or if something happens. Does anyone have any other questions regarding big interview or even about our office?
Stephanie, this is Andy Winkowski. I sent you an email. I'll just follow up with you. Is there a good phone number to contact your office? Is that in your email signature?
Yes, it is in my email signature.
Okay.
Our office phone number is right here though on our website. I'll put that in the chat. Okay, I also got a question in the chat of, will you share this recording? Yes, I will actually be sharing this recording. I plan to upload it onto our website and to our YouTube page. However, I can then also again send it specifically to you if you're interested. I know I already have like a faculty list that I need to send it to of people who've indicated to me that they weren't able to make it. But yes, it has been recorded and it will be sent out.
Stephanie, I sent you, this is Josh, I sent you an email asking to be added as an admin, but I actually didn't get the documents never popped up in the chat for me. So hopefully you can add those to the email.
Yeah, I will go ahead and send those to you. Thanks for bringing that to my attention.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Stephanie. It's Jennifer Sherry, Dental Hygiene.
Hi,
I'm
Jen.
glad I was able to hop on. I just had a question you had mentioned earlier about the capability to do interviews prior to students being admitted into a program. Is that the case, or did I misunderstand?
No, that is the case. So if you have prospective students, and what I mean by prospective in this case is students that have actually been admitted to the university, they're just like pre-freshmen, you know, like they're going to be attending maybe in like the fall semester, but maybe it's the summer semester. And I know certain faculty and staff still have, you know, reason to interview certain students for that. Like if you're conducting interviews for your own program, they should be able to still use Big Interview as an interview platform. And you can actually use the platform to screen those students or to interview those students too, even though they're not currently like enrolled or attending the university. As long as they're admitted and have like their SIU email and network ID, then they should be able to access it.
Okay, thank you. We were
You're
talking
welcome.
about including a pre-interview process before entry into dental hygiene. So this is a great option. Thank you.
You're welcome. Glad that it's helpful.
This was incredibly helpful, Stephanie. Thank you. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that feedback. And of course, I'm always available for any questions. You know, you could either contact me directly or contact the Career Development Center. Since this is a new software, of course, I do anticipate there to be questions and things to arise. So just don't feel shy about reaching out. I'd love to help you with any kind of follow-up questions and to add you as an organizational admin. I guess last call for any other questions or concerns.
Stephanie, am I correct that when students go for the actual mock interview that you're giving them the option now of whether they want to do that via Zoom or in person?
Yeah, so we actually kind of leave that up to, if it's for a class assignment, we do leave that up to the faculty. So we would want to make sure that the faculty either tells us we want them to be doing it in person or we want it to be doing it virtual. However, if our faculty doesn't have a preference, then we do leave it up to the student, because I know sometimes faculty either want it to all be one way or the other, so it's fair for everyone. And some are the opposite, you know, they just kind of want the student just to complete the assignment in any way. But we are still conducting both in-person and virtual mock interviews through Zoom.
Wonderful. We have students in my online class that are not on campus, and everything you guys do, as you know, I've been taking full advantage of it for years. It's wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we appreciate it. And we really appreciate all the faculty that work with us. You know, it's we really enjoy working with the students and working with all of you. So thanks again for utilizing our office and our services. All right, I'll just check the chat one more time. All right, well, it looks like there's no more questions. So again, feel free to contact our office or contact me if you have any other questions. And really, I thank you all for coming to this information and training session today. I know everyone's super busy right now with it being the end of the semester. So I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to attend this session. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Thanks, Stephanie. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Stephanie.
Take care. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.